News right now on 13 News at noon. Just moments ago, we learned the prosecution has rested its case in the trial for the two IMPD officers accused in the death of Herman Whitfield III. Now this, as we're hearing testimony from the pathologist who performed the autopsy on Whitfield. According to Zachary O'Neill, Whitfield died from cardiopulmonary arrest, prone restraint, and conducted electrical weapon use. Now he says there was not one factor that contributed entirely to Whitfield passing. O'Neill says there are two likely factors that caused his heart to stop. Those include agitation of breathing and heart rate, and irregular heartbeat or lactic acid buildup. Now, when Whitfield was tased, he fell to the ground and was handcuffed while in a prone position on the ground. Prosecutors argue none of the officers rolled him on his side to allow him to breathe. O'Neill says this made it harder for Whitfield to breathe. O'Neill also testified that Whitfield could have already been dead by the time he was handcuffed. Our Rich Nye is live tweeting from the courtroom right now. He will have the latest on 13 News at 4 and 5 o'clock. All right, we want to get you a check outside at these temperatures. Of course, meteorologist Sean Ash is here, and yeah, it's cold, it's windy. How long is this cold going to stick around? Because we are in December, I get that, but can we see any?
We do have a warm up. Okay. We'll earn every bit of it, Karen.
Oh, good.
In fact, today's our warmest day we've had in a little bit.
Yeah.
But the bottom drops out tonight, so we want to get everyone prepared for this. We've been talking about this Arctic front. And let's show you what's going on. At this hour here, you can see a little bit of cloud cover, not a whole lot of precipitation, but there is a little bit. And what occurs before sunset mostly is going to be liquid in nature. Now, we've talked about this Arctic front. I just posted a brand new forecast blog on our app online. Check it out there if you want, but this is what we'll be talking about. We've got the wind advisory. Now, it's breezy right now, but the peak wind gusts occur from about 5-6 p.m. and about 4 or 5 in the morning. And when I say peak wind gust, we're talking anywhere from 45 to near 50 miles per hour. That's enough to cause some power outages alone. The Arctic front itself will clear through Lafayette by 9 p.m., crosses through the metro area, give or take sometime around 9 to 10:30. And you'll hear it and you'll feel it. And then it's through the state before midnight. And then we'll have a burst, snow burst with it. And we'll also have some snow squalls perhaps, and flurries and snow showers lingering into tomorrow morning. Bottom line, travel is going to get a little worse overnight tonight. We'll have more on that, how long the cold will last, coming up in the forecast.
All right, thanks, Sean. This afternoon, NDOT and DPW, they are preparing for another round of winter weather to strike in the next 24 hours. Now, this comes as state police and IMPD responded to more than 160 accidents on Monday due to snowy roads. 13 News reached out to NDOT to find out what went wrong Monday. They say the light snow melted fast on roadways before freezing, which caused many slick spots. They also sent out about 30 trucks that afternoon. And city streets were also a problem. DPW telling 13 News they had about 12 drivers in 3 districts 30 minutes after the snow started. So again, several crews, they say they will focus on overpasses and bridges, while others will be putting salt down on the roads.
With our crews getting out there towards the beginning of the snowfall, we were as proactive and reactive as possible as well. And then again, making that decision to deploy all of our drivers to make sure that the roads were being maintained and addressed as best as they could.
Again, right now, DPW and NDOT say they have crews on standby as we anticipate more winter weather on the way. State police are also urging drivers to slow down. Well, right now, Wheeler Mission is raising awareness for the homeless population across Indianapolis as bitterly cold temperatures are here to stay. The organization tells our Chase Howell that they're not only reaching capacity, they're exceeding it.
Each one of these empty bunk beds at Wheeler Mission will have someone experiencing homelessness in it come bedtime.
So they get breakfast, they get lunch, they get dinner.
Brian Crispin works at Wheeler Mission. He says its men's shelter has 258 beds available, but oftentimes they have more bodies than beds. For example, Monday night, the mission housed 332 men, causing 74 guys to grab a mat and pick a place on the floor to sleep for the night. Meanwhile, over at the women's shelter, Crispin says they have 209 beds available, but same as the men's, the need for a place to sleep usually exceeds that.
So when it comes to families, you're talking sometimes those are 4, 6, 8 people in a group, a family with kids. We have a capacity limit when it comes to families. So there is a need in this community for people to step into that space and take in more family.
In the summer months, it doesn't come as a surprise seeing people sleeping in the park or on benches. But as soon as those cold temperatures move in, Crispin says some of the 1,700 unhoused people in Indianapolis come knocking for a warm place to stay.
People that are staying under bridges or staying out in some of these camps that you'll see, that's just not possible. It's life or death outside, and so they need to get inside. They need that warmth, or else, I mean, they literally may not survive the night.
Members of Indianapolis's City County Council on Monday voted to allocate funds for a low-barrier homeless shelter.
It is a critical step. So it is really the difference between our ability to fund the shelter and the housing hub and the co-located services and really build the low barrier shelter that our community desperately needs to fill in the gap.
The project is expected to cost $32 million, and according to the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, will open up 150 additional beds for those in need, something Crispin welcomes.
Piece by piece, when we're all working together, people can be served.
Construction on the low-barrier homeless shelter is expected to be completed in 2026, with the facility opening in 2027 over on East Georgia Street, near Fountain Square. Reporting in Indianapolis, Chase Howell, 13 News.
After 59 years, Indiana's most winningest football head coach in state history says he submitted his resignation letter. Larry Bud Wright tells 13 News he's stepping down from his role as the head coach of Sheridan High School. Wright says the administration gave him an ultimatum to resign or be fired. He was suspended for 1 week this season after accusations of verbal abuse of a player. Sheridan Superintendent Dave Mundy tells us the district and Coach Wright agreed that 2024 would be his final season. IMPD families and friends are honoring officers who died in the line of duty through a special service called Project Blue Light. Officers across agencies gathered at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy last night to honor Hendricks County Sheriff's Office Deputy Sheriff Fred Fizzler and Newton County Sheriff's Office Corporal Brandon Schreiber. Both died in the line of duty this year. 2 more families now in the same shoes as Sarah Chenevez. Her brother Noah was an Elwood police officer killed in 2022.
Now, every time I hear an officer has died in the line of duty, I don't just feel empathy about the situation. I picture in great detail what it must be like for another family to get that call and to have to plan a funeral for someone that was not supposed to die yet.
Other officers spoke at the ceremony saying as long as their officer's memory is alive, they'll never truly die. This afternoon, City County Council members are working to create an education fund program for Indianapolis Marion County schools. In a statement, council members called it a first of its kind city initiative to strengthen public education across Indy. It aims to increase literacy and math skills as well as pay for reliable transportation and support services for students. If approved, people who benefit from economic incentives for big capital improvement projects will pay for it. Council members plan to propose it next month. And one group is working to get Indiana Public Schools to share its property tax dollars with charter schools. The group is called the Indiana Charter Innovation Center. It represents about half of the state's 123 charter schools. Those are public schools not run by school districts. Instead, they're headed by nonprofit boards. And while charter schools do not receive any local property tax dollars, they do get state funding and federal funding.